so different. But either way, let's see where we're going right now, map ban-wise, to find out, as I said a couple times earlier tonight, who might be at advantage, because you know why? That has so far proven to be true. Everyone that has won the map previously also continued to do so. Everyone that had lost the map previously continued to do so. So a lot of history repeating itself tonight as far as the maps go. Consulate not going to be repeated for a third time though. And Villa, the first band for Ninjas in Pyjamas, not wanting to go to the new map, unfortunately. There goes Coastline. So not going to see a repeat of that one either.
Are you surprised at all by any of these bands? Because I am not in the slightest. Clubhouse, yes, we get something even remotely new. Something very interesting. I do love when we get to see this map because there's always a new strategy every time.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately for Pain, though, if history repeats itself, this is a map they have played and lost, as you can see from their 0%. So they're going to have to do what the other teams today couldn't do and change history, or Ninjas in Pyjamas are going to be the ones to make that leapfrog. Although we could see that tie situation, they're at a tie right now, so it's entirely plausible that both these teams do well on it. We just don't know how Ninjas in Pyjamas are going to play it, because this, as we've said before, this is a fairly new map in a way. It's been very, very renovated, and I think been very interesting to see since then. A lot of different ideas coming out. For example, a lot of Montaigne play, interestingly enough, not to mention a lot more Thermite play than we used to see on this particular map. So overall, it's been very interesting to see, but let's see what you guys think, as last time maybe the number's a little bit off from what you were expecting, but Ninjas in Pyjamas, despite it being a tie, nowhere near a tie in terms of the vote, so some faith in those Pyjamas.
That one makes a little bit more sense compared to what we saw in the previous match. At the same time, you're right. These teams are in the same position right now at 5 points on the leaderboard. They are tied up. So,
and to be fair, this is the Pain Gaming that was the only team in relegations to keep its spot.
So there is potential for this to go either way, but we're going to go ahead and load into the match. It will be, again, Clubhouse. Definitely a good map to see who is the most innovative between the two teams. Starting off the ban phase will be Pain, as they are on defense. Ninjas in Pyjamas on attack. And we'll see where this plays out.
Could see a Thermite ban. This is definitely the map for it.
Oh, yeah. Wholeheartedly agree. Thermite or Habana.
Oh, Monty, thank goodness.
You talked about Montaigne before we
so
even
much
got
on this
into
map.
Clubhouse, and he has been an influential force here. So I'm thinking Habana, Thermite, maybe a Lion?
Could be. Definitely. Those are the ones I would rate highly up there, but nope. Nonetheless, well, something that you said Black Dragons might want to consider in the future.
Yeah, Dokabi actually is in the same wheelhouse as Lion, so that's not really too surprising.
But that means we'll probably see a lot of Lion now then.
Yeah, well, maybe. I mean, it depends on the teams, of course, but I agree with you. I think it's likely we will see that Lion. Well,
that's the thing, is you want to shut down any possibility of a roam on this map, because that is what is newer to it, is the possibility of a bit more roaming.
Yeah, the defense is favored on Clubhouse simply because it's a newer map.
There we
go.
go.
Echo and Mira banned out, not a single surprise there.
Yeah, we've only seen Echo not banned once tonight.
Yeah, he's a versatile operator that sees bans across the board in every region quite frequently.
Yeah, unfortunate for him, but nonetheless, hey, he still gets played once in a while. Cash Room, the starting site, not a huge surprise there. Kamikaze is going to be bringing that Lion, assuming he doesn't switch off. But the Thatcher and a Habana with no Thermite ban makes me think that they're going to 6-pick to a Thermite, potentially.
I want to say that you're right.
I don't know.
The reason I would bring Habana in the first round instead of a Thermite is actually very specific. What if they defend the basement? You want a Habana more if you're attacking the basement. You want a Thermite more if you're attacking anywhere else.
Well, they're just not going to bring the Thatcher. Instead, going to go with a Blitz, something Julio well known for.
So you don't really need a Thatcher, I guess, if you're attacking the basement, but he's always useful.
Yeah.
And,
he also didn't see the 6-pick of the Bandit.
Yeah, and it isn't the basement, so, I mean, of course they don't know that. The attackers do not know what side they're attacking right now.
I'd say Cash, majority of the time, has been the primary site, but we have seen some teams go Arsenal first.
I was about to say, there's about I'd say a 40-60 split Cash Room favored between Cash and basement as primary bomb site for different teams. But it's close.
Well, I like the Mute and Bandit combo here, because you see where Spawns is reinforcing right now, you can get the Bandit to be able to Bandit trick up there, and then you have the Mute Jammers for the garage doors to stop them from being able to open pretty much anywhere without at least having to work for it a little bit. I mean, obviously there are plenty of ways to get rid of those Mute Jammers, as well as shoot the batteries and things like that. But now without the Thatcher, they're actually going to have to work much harder to do that. Interesting though that because Monty's banned, they're just going to bring Blitz instead.
So no Monty, no blitz. That means taking garage is harder because they don't have the Montaigne. And because taking garage is harder, it's harder to disable the bandit tricking on the server wall. And then also there's no Thatcher, so you can't directly disable it using those Thatcher EMPs. And also there's no Thermite, so even if you do disable those bandits, you're not going to open much of the wall.
Yeah.
So this is not the best operator selection for Ninjas in Pyjamas.
Well,
it's also not the worst. They do still have the Blitz, so that could aid them a lot if they're
Blitz
going for a
line
construction take.
It's pretty strong.
What?
Blitz Lion is pretty strong combo,
Yes,
though.
it is a very strong combination. You make them stand still, and then you can blitz their face.
Yep.
Now, yeah, so if you're taking from construction or if you're taking from garage, blitz is really useful, though arguably not as useful as Montaigne on this site.
And to be clear, when we say construction, of course, we mean the new connector room and not the actual spawn, because sometimes when we would say taking from construction in the past, we'd be talking about dirt tunnel.
Well, dirt tunnel is dirt tunnel, construction is construction, and construction spawn is construction spawn. I've heard some people refer to construction as workshop to clarify it a little bit better, but even those have some. I mean, workshop's probably the best, but at the same time, it's called construction.
And you see that's where they're going for, so
on the map. So that's just what we're going to work with right now.
Absolutely. But they are going to push that, and they are going to be able to open up at least some of the wall with that Habana.
So they don't have a Thermite, which means they're going to go for a less ground that needs to be opened up. If you can't get the server wall, you may as well adapt your attack strategy. But there is a bandit on the other side of that construction wall, and he is going to likely get both sets of Excaros. No, he misses one, gets a single. So half of the wall saved, as that is a double reinforcement wall.
Well, either way, that is going to be some holes, maybe not as much as they would like. Definitely not enough to vault through. But Yuna trying to fight it nonetheless. They are getting pressured pretty hard now, but Julio standing just outside the door, going to continue to bait these shots. They have to make some of these angles work because they're stacking up pretty heavily to push this way.
Flashbang placement going to be countered by a C4 toss, and Yuna will get another C4, this time onto Psycho. We also have a downed Wag, who will just now be picked up. Here comes the EE1Ds and smoke grenades from Julio. I believe that one might have been caught by an ADS. Wag gets eliminated by Yuna from a run out. That's a hell of a jump there to get the kill. Follow-up nades from PZD will hit air as the repositioned defenders are no longer behind the A-bomb itself. Payne's going to extend their lead with a kill onto Julio. That's the shield gone, and PZD also falls, leaving just Kamikaze in a 1 versus 5 with a downed bandit. Not a lot to work with here. Only a single second left, and he won't even get to save the KD. GCR shuts him down outside. Payne takes the first round dominantly.
Well, that attacker lineup you were talking about, that wasn't necessarily the most optimal, proving to be exactly that. Unfortunately, their push through with the Blitz shield did not really turn into much of a Blitz at all, rather just turned into a bunch of dying inside that connector.
It seemed like NiP had a good setup and a good take from their utility, but they didn't execute it properly. You saw, they had the flashbangs for behind a bomb. They had the smokes to cover the rotations between in the doorway and in the rotational from the top of stairs. And they had the EE1Ds to force the defenders to stand still. It could have been a very easy cash take. Yet all the tools were positioned properly, but they didn't use them well, and thus they lost the round.
Interestingly, they were looking like they were going to fake a Finka Blitz combo. Instead, Six picked off the Blitz rather than the Finka, which is the less intuitive switch, but nonetheless...
We've been seeing a lot of the less intuitive today, Devin. And you know, sometimes that's just the teams being a little bit ahead of the curve and finding the new meta.
We're just catching up slowly here.
Yeah, but you have to question, and I agree with you, you have to question Finka with no Blitz. The reason you would bring Finka is to aid your Blitz in his ADS speed to allow him, and of course, yes, it is nerfed, 25% instead of 50% reduction on the speed there, or actually, well, added to the speed reduction on how long it takes. But still, it's kind of odd.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see how they do this, because now we're not on cash anymore. We're going over to Gym Bedroom. They are not bringing the castle, something that I point out just because we've seen some good castle-related defenses. But even if they had, there's so many grenades and soft breachers on the team that it wouldn't have made really much difference, because they could have sledged it, they could have shot the lifeline grenades into it, plenty of ways to attack that. So I think there's, again, a lot of utility coming out from Nip that they should be able to play into this with and be able to, I would say, at least open up a lot. But again, no Thermite means they're going to be forced to maybe open up some smaller holes. There is no Bandit this time to trick it, though, just a Mute. So maybe they'll have a little more success in potentially opening up some walls or some angles.
Well,
that will put that pressure on.
At the same time, no Thatcher. So
yeah,
you got a Mute on the, hot tub wall.
In theory, should be very easy to shoot.
You're still going to be able to deny the Habana pretty easily.
We'll see, though, whether or not they're able to clear that out. I don't think that should be a problem to any coordinated team. But it could be a factor here. He's obviously not going to be tricking it. Looks like they actually opened up some of the double wall on Cash. I'm not sure if that was a... It looks like it buys Defender Impact Nade. So that is an odd choice.
Very basic setup here from Payne. Spawns, though, playing in kitchen. This is interesting. We don't really see this very often.
Yeah.
It's an odd angle, and I think the distance between the roof and the ceiling, or sorry, not the floor and the ceiling, rather, in the kitchen to the office is pretty wide. I don't know if you can actually hit a C4 properly on that, unless they've changed it with the the alteration to Clubhouse, which is entirely possible. Meanwhile, though, Julio coming into stock, and he's going to be applying vertical pressure from below to the roamers inside of Cash Room. They will then fall off into construction. Definitely the right call.
Good cash take so far, and they are going to get boosted here to try and continue to pressure on this, which seems to be the smart call. I think they're doing a good job getting that map control to be able to pressure from the side, but not opening the hot tub wall does seem like a bit of an oversight here because of how much pressure that puts on. Even just with a single opening from the X-Kairos would do a lot to really make it so they can't rotate around as easily between gym and the bedroom.
Spawn's now extending himself into bar, and he's going to be able to gather a lot of information on those attackers who are coming from construction. Good potential there for a C4 from below. And since he has not been spotted out, he's going to have a pretty easy roam so far. FK1 also with him. Doesn't look like Ninjas in Pyjamas are putting a lot of focus on those roamers downstairs. They're instead pressuring the site. Yuna playing with fire as he attempts to challenge the windows on the balcony, and he will die to PZD from behind. PZD going for the follow-up kill onto the Jaeger. That's because of this rotation hole that the Smoke of Yuna lost his life. Potentially even GCRs. The nades start coming out for PCD. Yep, there it is. Julio also gets a Claymore. FK1 taken down. Kamikaze under revolts. It's all onto Spawns. He will be retaking from the main stairs. Not a great situation to be in, especially considering the attackers know where he is. Some missed shots there and missed opportunities, but the follow-up will be successful. Kamikaze goes down. Pistol comes out. Spawn's continuing to challenge. Post-plant situation, but Julio from the bar will finally shut down that pulse. And Ninjas in Pyjamas take that round very dominantly. That's the opposite of what we just witnessed on the first round.
Yeah, that was a much better round for Ninjas in Pyjamas. They used their utility well. They pressured well. I mean, opening up the hot tub wall, as I said, was something they could have done maybe a little bit earlier. But the fact that they took control of the logistics office and used that to attack from behind, they just did not seem prepared for it. They were so focused on using the mattress to fight the window as well as the doorway. They just did not even think about, oh, we could get shot in the back here. It seemed to backfire on them pretty quickly, and they were easily able to take control of site and section off the roamers downstairs for an easy flank for behind as well. They're going to try gym bedroom yet again, though. Maybe they'll be able to do it a little bit better this time. Spawn's going to fake being vigilant, but nope, going to go right back onto that pulse. And so far does not look like we will see a Finka again from Nip.
So many of the teams that defend Cash Room as their primary bomb site also like Gym as their secondary, and it seems that we're going to have that be the case with Payne.
Yeah, I might not see that when we switch around to Nip side, but you never know.
Yeah, there's still a lot of different trains of thought when it comes to how to defend Clubhouse properly, since it's been reworked so recently.
Yeah, I expect we'll see new strategies even going into Paris to try and establish different ways, because this first half of the season has really been a good feel-out session of different ideas and what works and what doesn't. So I imagine we'll see a lot of those refined by Paris. And then, of course, the second half of the season, assuming the new operators or any other changes don't shake things up too much, could see some of the further refinement and use of that in Clubhouse becoming a very popular map second season.
It's entirely possible.
Or second half. We'll see, though. It looks like they've brought similar attacker lineup again. This time, Psycho going to be on the Ash instead, something he was pretending to be, or was going to be before he switched over to Finka last time. But they are going to be bringing a Mute with no Bandit again.
No, we said before how Ashe is one of those operators you gotta, if you pick, you have to justify. And I think Psycho is one of the players who can justify Ashe as an operator. Tends to really frag out on her and give his team a significant lead by virtue of his skill.
Yeah.
So, Ninjas in Pyjamas droning their way into server room, looking for those roamers. They have detected many inside of cache, and that's going to be likely their first priority, given that it was the last time they attacked on the gym, just the round prior. It looks like Pain is playing a lot safer this time. They're worried about losing too many members to a easy flank in from Office. Now, hopefully they're going to have a little bit more pressure inside of Office, maybe some players anchoring there to hold that flank. We've seen it be, in the past, a pretty easy room to hold for the defense. We just have to have someone dedicated to it.
We'll see how it goes. We're seeing a lot of pressure here coming from CCTV servers here into the cash room side. Unfortunately, the grenade not turning into anything else. It looks like the Mute Jammer did a good job denying the X-Kairos as well.
Yeah.
Able to open that wall. So good job by the defense. So far, they're holding this pretty tight.
The Mute Jammer ADS combination working for a solid amount of time. Now the impacts to follow that up to deny the X-Kairos. And Cash Room, this isn't even the site, is being denied by FK and GCR so very efficiently, wasting copious amounts of time and utility for the attackers. The final X-Kairos charge on the wall. No more impacts from the FK1 Legion, but GCR and FK both get their own kills. And Ninjas in Pyjamas now at a huge deficit.
They are just dominating this round. FK1 and GCR, the hold on Cash Room to kill two very important attackers, waste all the grenades, and FK1 following that up onto the Ashe. GCR also getting another one. It has been their round. Leave something for the other team mates there.
Julio, now the last attacker, challenging from the cache stairs, and he's looking for the fight, and he will find it from behind. Spawns will get that final kill. But yeah, you really got to hand it to FK1 and GCR, holding on to Cash Room and not letting go. What a spectacular setup, and it tripped up the attack mostly because of the lack of a Thatcher.
Yeah, absolutely. They just really struggled dealing with the Mute Jammer, the impact nades, all the denial that you saw there. Yep. And that was, well, the exact opposite, again, of the previous round. So it seems like we're seeing this very back and forth where we saw Cash, for example, go to a good defense, so they switched bomb sites because they had to. And, we'll come up with a very strong attack. The second time around, did so. But then defense completely adjusted and played such a fantastic game. Now, the real question is, can defense win cash again, or is this going to be time where Ninjas in Pyjamas have a much better attack? Julio just faking the glass. There's going to be that Thatcher again, but Ying is sticking.
Now, Psycho also good on Ying. He's really just, stick him on a roll that is able to rush into a gap and secure kills. And that's where he wants to be. I think he's really defined by his name. He's one of those types of players.
Same with Kamikaze sometimes.
Yeah, in the best way possible.
Yeah.
He's great at rushing in and getting kills.
Well, we'll see, though. That combined with the Lion is pretty effective in terms of the fact that anyone trying to move to get into someplace safe while blind is going to be easily spotted and, of course, easily killed because they can't see. So it can be a very devastating combo on an actual site push, assuming you time it right. They do have more utility to open the walls, but again, none of them really wanting to mess with a Thermite, which is, odd to me because there's so many places where he's effective, but maybe they were just worried about those impact nade denials just denying the Thermite anyways, because in theory, Habana's going to work a little bit better in terms of being able to fire lower. You saw, for example, the X-Kairos being used lower after the impact nade denial to try and get around that, which I assume works. I haven't tested that to be 100% sure, but I believe, the range of the impact nade is only so far.
It's very likely there's a position somewhere on the wall where you can start getting those X-Kairos detonated near the bottom. But at the same time, even if you open up that chunk of the wall, it's not gonna give you much.
No, you have to use it to be able to then fire at anyone who might be using impact nades. And it depends on the room. Works better, I think, in the hot tub corner than it would necessarily on the room they were trying to do it on.
Right.
But either way, we'll see what they adjust for this round because now they're attacking Cash instead of Gym Bedroom.
And I love this here from Nip. I remember we talked about how the lack of Thatcher really hurt them because they couldn't get through the Mute Jammer and the ADS combination. Now they've brought Thatcher, and neither will be a problem. So as soon as they find the wall they want to push through, it's a very simple process. However, there is a Mute and a Bandit on the defense, even following up the impacts from FK1. So they've got a lot of denial to the hard destruction, and still no thermite. These walls are best opened by a thermite, but doesn't seem like the priority for Ninjas in Pyjamas.
Pain looks like they're almost lost as to where the attack is coming from for a second there.
I mean, it's been a while. We're almost halfway through the round, and only now will Nip start doing much to chip away at the site.
Well, it looks like Bandit unfortunately backed away, and then there's a nice nade onto FK1. Psycho getting down in the process, but he's going to get picked back up, and Nip are going to be at the advantage now.
Yeah, Psycho easily will get down into a safe position to then be picked up, and that's going to give man advantage secured for Nip. But as Wag gets Yuna, it's even further in Nip's favor. That's a pretty big player to lose, one of the garage players if I'm not mistaken, and that is huge position at this interval.
Yeah, and Psycho also getting picked back up finally means they're at a huge man advantage now, 2 people ahead. They've got walls open, a minute left to make this attack work. Not to mention potentially a lot of utility left. There might still be grenades. I'm sure there's an EE1D left, maybe even a EMP. Not to mention 3 Candelas, so much working against Pain right now, but you never know, they could frag out and clutch this.
Well, it'll come down to that, that's for certain. With so little time left, the EE1Ds will be detonated, and that's actually just going to be for a rotation. So they're really coming down to the wire, and by they, I mean Ninjas in Pyjamas. As they start running out of time, the last gas canister at 26 seconds will be detonated to deny a push from construction. And here it all comes. Flashbangs on the initial entry. No follow-up. Last EE1D spawns holding construction doorway, will get an easy kill on Psycho, though he goes for a reload, gets exposed, and still manages to die. Revolts with a C4 onto PCD. Kamikaze gets GCR. The enter from Wag, though, will win against Revolts' anchor, and Ninjas in Pyjamas take that round.
I started to think for a second there that we were going to see Pain actually bring that back, but nope, unfortunately not.
I honestly think they had that round. The way that they were anchored up, sure they had the main disadvantage, but their positions were so good for holding out against the push that they saw.
Not to mention it was a very slow and weirdly staggered push.
Yeah, 20 seconds is when it started to really cascade, and I mean, 20 seconds is where the initial push happened, and then the follow-up push at 15 seconds, and then 10 seconds. Like you say, it was staggered, and
yeah. I liked the kill on the Ying, though, that was throwing the Candelas from the angle that he had underneath the table. That was a nice kill in terms of countering that. I think only 2 Candelas got thrown out before the kill happened, so the third one doesn't come out. But the line combined with it, as I said, is a brutal combination and really worked against them in the end because they couldn't move anywhere.
So, thus far, a fittingly close match.
Yep.
When you take into account the standings for this season. Of course, these teams are currently tied in terms of points.
And may stay that way after this.
And may stay that way, certainly. However, if one team is able to win, they will leapfrog over Boot Camp and get that position just one step higher. Now, it's probably going to come down to whichever team wins the half. One thing to consider as well, Pain has yet to defend anything that's not on the top floor. They've been going Gym and Cash, Gym and Cash.
And they've won both and lost both.
Yeah, so they refuse, adamantly apparently, to go to the basement. And I have to say, I think that's hurting them just a little bit.
All these threes. Well, I mean, true, but if they win this one, then they come out with a 1-point advantage. However, like you said, their lack of flexibility is working against them a bit in terms of not having it and not being able to then surprise Nip.
Yeah, as much as I do think that the basement is probably, it's different, it's not the same.
It's still been working pretty well, though.
It's still, it's a functioning site, and I think you need to be able to try and defend it. And the fact that you've been unsuccessful on some of these other sites, like here, for example, maybe make a change, make a rotation, try to give yourself a little bit of an edge.
Maybe they're just thinking, well, we've won both sites once, that means it's possible for us to win both of them again.
Well, the math is equal, so it really doesn't matter. I mean,
right.
It just comes down to playing it a little bit better than you did in the past, I suppose.
Yeah, well, they are going to bring that Thatcher again, and that was very useful last time. Not going to bring the Ying this time, though.
I'm still kind of perplexed as to why they do not bring a thermite. I mean, they have not seen... there's not been a single defense of the basement yet from Pain.
Bring both.
Yeah, bring both.
Open everything up, because that's the thing about this top bomb site is there's a lot of outside access. If you open everything up, you kind of corral them into pretty small spots you can nade them out of.
Yeah, and to reiterate, the reason you bring a Hibana is specifically for basement attack. Hibana is great for opening up those drop downs. The reason you bring a Thermite is for any other site on this map. So, yeah, bringing a Thermite probably a good plan for the attack, considering they've been dealing with the top floor this entire match.
Well, either way, though, at least they've been able to win 2 attacks without it. But sure, it's definitely been tricky. We've seen some good denial of it, or attempts thereof.
Speaking of denial, PZD denying Yuna the bandit tricking with a well-placed grenade following the Thatcher EMP that disabled the ADS, which was covering that bandit from those grenades.
So complex.
Good
that
teamwork.
Is at least his 2nd grenade kill of this match as well, so he's been doing very well in that sledge.
I really do appreciate the teamwork that's coming from Pain to deny that bandit tricking, and it is going to hurt Pain a lot in this round.
Well, they are still alive, though, and a minute left, so at least they managed to burn 2 minutes and only lost 1 defender. They still at least have the Legion and the smoke left to be able to try and deny as much as possible, not to mention the C4 on spawns. So they have some utility left to deny. You see them opening up some of the top of the wall. A little bit late. Impact nade perfectly denying all 6x Kairos, unfortunately for WAG.
So we see the impacts on smoke being useful in this round. Good selection there for Pain Gaming. Now with only 30 seconds left, a 5 versus 4, and make that a 4 versus 4, and extend it even further for Pain, a double for GCR. Revolts follows that up with a kill into WAG, leaving just PZD, and this is reminiscent of the first time Pain tried to defend Cash and were successful. They will end the half 3-2 in their favor.
Well, I mean, we can criticize them all day long for not wanting to play other bomb sites, but at least they come out with the majority.
That's
I mean, maybe
true.
It's possible they could have come out with more had they switched more often, but nonetheless, they will have an advantage now, and surprisingly, Nip actually will go for the bomb site we have yet to see, all the way down to Sharshal. I say we have yet to see because I don't think we're going to see Bar. But you never know.
Bar's not going to get played.
Probably not.
I mean, so there's an interesting thing with Bar. I think just it was one of the most radically changed bomb sites, except for the top floors. There was a lot of interest in the top floor sites because you were adding to instead of subtracting from. The Bar bomb site got made smaller, and there was more cover added, but there were also more lanes added. And I think it's a little bit intimidating for teams. And honestly, I don't know, like, it's not a great site, you know, at first glance, and I don't know if there's some kind of diamond in the rough setup.
There will be.
Yet.
I think. I think there will be at least one that works some of the time.
Yeah, we might get there. We're definitely going to get there. You're right. So that's how these things play out.
Second half of the season. Probably not the first half.
Maybe next season.
Maybe next season. But I mean, this is a new map, quote unquote.
Oh yeah, it is. It is. I guess a new map. It is. But yeah. So the Bar doesn't typically see you play. Is the point we're trying to get at here.
Yeah. That little mini bar does.
Yeah. The mini bar inside of Church certainly does. Lots of play behind that. But here we go. First attack for Pain, first defense for Nip as we switch to the second half. And yeah, like you said already right off the bat, something a little bit interesting in this new bomb site.
Well, we'll see what this has in store. As Nip is going to be playing very differently. They're going to be bringing Alibi, a Vigil, a Valkyrie. Very different lineup than we saw from Pain.
You can tell very clearly, I mean, it's going to be a heavy roam strategy from Nip. You could see already with the pre-placed C4. So I was wondering what was going on with that Valkyrie cam by the pelt upstairs in office.
Now you know.
Yeah, it's a pre-placed C4 to get anybody who comes from the drop down on the roof. So that C4 was directly underneath said drop down.
Now the upside is, of course, there's a lot of places you can sit fairly safely for a good majority of the round downstairs as opposed to some of the other bomb sites. So in theory, if he stays on top of this or has someone else stay on top of it, should be able to detonate that in a timely manner if he catches someone at the right time.
You know, something kind of weird. I could have sworn above kitchen and below office that there was a huge, PZD, poor positioning in construction, but somehow gets away with it. GCR prepping a nade. It will do damage, but will not get the kill. And GCR's been on top of his nade so far, but unfortunately that was just a near miss.
Yep, definitely going to have to follow that up with some bullets or his other nade. Kamikaze, in the meantime, taking down FK1. Good counter here. So they're definitely fighting back a bit as they're going to start to fall back a little closer to sight, but nonetheless still stick this. Unfortunately for GCR, shoots the wrong Alibi.
FK1 has already been lost. Yet another Ash player dispatched early in a round. GCR prepping that secondary nade into Cash. Goes for the connector, in fact. Sees the actual alibi, but will not land the shots. So little HP on PZD. He will die to a single bullet, but the support from Kamikaze will secure the kill onto Spawns. So, still Cash control in favor of the defense. Payne struggling to fight back as PZD, again, so lit up, will get the kill onto GCR. And this attack has been thwarted before they can even get close to the bomb site.
They don't even have diffuser at this point. It is far from both of the two attackers. They don't even seem to be looking to put much effort into recovering it right now because they're so pressured. They're just hoping that they can catch someone pushing on them. The fact that they haven't been able to get any roamers is terrible at this point.
Yeah, Yuna reading the situation and saying, okay, I'm just going to pressure the bomb site. I'm going to start pushing in through blue. But WAG is there and ready to deny him that entry. More importantly, even if he does get control of site, 47 seconds left, and neither attacker is going for the diffuser, which means they're going for a site take when they know there are roamers, but they don't have a diffuser, so they can't plant, which means it results in a frag out situation. But there are roamers, which means there are defenders who can deny you access to them. It's kind of a logical conundrum. Anyway, Psycho trying to contest from Moto. Revolts gets Kamikaze. Julio able to get Yuna, leaving Revolts the last attacker, and he will be shut down on the blue hallway. So, Ninjas and Pyjamas win their defensive round of the basement.
We've seen now some very good play from both teams in terms of defending that upstairs cash room when it's not necessarily the bomb site, just the way that teams have been holding it, proving there's a lot of really good angles and a lot of really smart ways to play it to deny attackers, because that was so pivotal in that defense, just how hard they anchored to that. And of course, just to defy us, just to make us look silly, here comes Bar.
I'm honestly excited.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
I'll take looking a little silly for saying it's not a great bomb site yet in the season. Well, if I get to see it played.
We saw all the entire defense on the other side was Jim and Cash. Now we're seeing the exact opposite. So
that's kind of silly, isn't it?
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, the opposite bomb sites for the opposite teams, but they're so close to each other in terms of skill. And Bar stock room locked in soon, hopefully as the bomb site. I gotta say, didn't expect this. We already said we didn't expect this, but hey, I'll take it.
I'm just waiting for the next DLC or something for them to add 6th picking of bomb sites. Just to keep it that much more interesting. It would
be kind of cool if you could see the bomb site and then operate your 6th pick based on that.
But then you
would
it
be too? Well. Nah.
So you'd be like, I'll bait you into picking a thermite, and then I'll switch off of the thing you use the thermite for.
That's too much, man.
All right.
That's
too many layers of Sicilian logic at that point. Either way, though, we're gonna see our first Jackal here as well. So it's just so different in terms of what we're seeing from attack and defense operators from both sides. Both these teams, while they were equal in scoreline, play so differently on Clubhouse. It's been very interesting.
10 seconds
yeah,
left before
and. Speaking of equal, entering into a 3-3 situation, it's still anyone's match. No one's been able to pull away, and you can see across the board, save one, we have a very even frag count here.
Psycho definitely my MVP this round. He's got to pick it up.
And I'm sure he will.
I'm sure he will.
Having 0 kills just means he has yet to wake up, yet to show up, and we know he certainly can. So when he does, that might be all his team needs.
It'll be a clutch ace
to start their victory sweep.
He will be one of the roamers here, though, on Vigil, trying to hold out that garage a little bit longer, just in case. But they are going for a pretty roam-heavy defense here, which is not a huge surprise for Bar. But they're going to have to defend against what is more likely to be a stock push than anything else.
Stock the most typical site to attack, that's for sure. But, I mean, we're coming back to this because we talked about it earlier. This site so seldomly defended at this point in the meta that it's likely the attackers don't have any definitive strategy to use to employ here.
Very true. Although at least they have a Jackal here to try and track a roamer, assuming they get some footprints upstairs, which they should very soon. Although FK1 needs to switch to the Inox to find those.
Oh, the footprint trackers.
That's right.
Called.
We've gone now to the brand names.
GCR, first kill of the round. Wag taken down. The smoke of all operators, not great for the defense. As Psycho uses an impact, he's going for his first kill, but he's going to be flanked by spawns, giving away his position and lingering too long. He needed to make the play or just keep his position. Either way, he made the wrong call. Now, 3-5 in favor of Pain Gaming. They also have positional advantage, but a C4 miss from Julio, a potential equalizer, not gonna see success. And as he attempts to rotate into bathroom, Yuna will shut him down. Looks like through the wall. Spawns running with the catching the run out from Kamikaze. PZD now the final defender in the top floor. I think we know why Bar is a seldomly picked bomb site at this point.
No, PZD has this. Easy clutch.
51 seconds, so he as a defender has lots of time to work with. He's going to catch the angle onto Yuna from Jim. That's a really great position to have with an open drop down. Here's the Jackal coming up from behind. That's FK1 and waits for the inevitable push. But Jackal just needs to hold. There's no pressure on the attacker to start pushing into PZD.
Well, at least he killed the defuse carrier down on pool, but I got to imagine they've picked up the diffuser by now as you see GCR holding it. So, unfortunately, all that time spent watching that angle backfiring on him, but he does manage to escape his trap and give away his position, firing on stock from much too long of an angle.
See, the Jackal will need a nice flick. That's FK1 onto PZD, finishing the round. And a pretty definitive one. I think probably one of the most definitive rounds in favor of Pain. Possibly, and I don't want to say this because I want Bar to be explored further, but possibly as a result of the poor bomb site selection.
Not sure I would explore it in the fashion that we just saw.
Yeah, I think there's some better platforms to go into that site and look for potential new strategies. The experimenting in Pro League is not advisable.
Yeah. Well, either way, I like the Jackal play we're seeing here. It's been doing a good job tracking some of these roamers.
It certainly has, Devin. Now, Pain Gaming, the ones to start with this lead, but I gotta imagine Nip are gonna be able to bring it back. Now, we haven't seen them defend Gym Bedroom yet. This is the first time they're gonna go here, so it's still anyone's round.
Yeah. I like the sneaky 6 pick over to the Bandit, as well as having the mute. We saw that worked pretty well to an extent from some of the previous defenses coming out of Pain Gaming. They would kind of combine the two because there's a lot of walls and a lot of different things you want to kind of secure as best as possible. So having the ability to do so definitely helps, but there again, those somewhat mirrored score lines. But overall,
save one player.
Yeah, looking better overall for Pain, and that's why they're at the 1 point advantage there.
Now, Nip is going to be doing a very similar strategy to what we saw from Pain when they were defending here. They're going to have a heavy extension into cache room and server, but the main hold is cache. They're just going to deny a wall inside of cache, and once the attackers come to server, they will be not in the best position to take the rest of the top floor. And that's kind of been the story, I think, of this site. You have to deny other rooms beside the site in order to get a victory. If you allow the attackers to fully set up in construction and on the balcony without causing them too much pain to get there, then it's a fairly easy take.
Yeah, we've seen that a lot in the history of this new clubhouse, is that taking pretty much half or more of the top floor tends to help a lot in getting that win. We'll see how much of that works this time, because we've seen some really great denials of cache as well by some of these defenders. It's interesting too, I feel like probably we've seen more Alibi play today in the entirety of the season combined.
Yeah, something I hadn't thought about, but a lot of teams have been playing Alibi somewhat effectively. Seems like she, and this is weird to say, but it seems like she's taken over the role of Valkyrie. I feel like we're seeing less Valkyrie, more Alibi, and it's a very specific thing too. But it doesn't make much sense because they're not both information gatherers.
Well, you know what?
Really. I mean, technically the Prismas do gather information, but only if people shoot them.
Maybe we'll get it after tonight. Maybe it's slowly hitting us. Maybe tonight when we're sleeping we'll dream of what the secret is that's working as well as it is. But a nice grenade on a Psycho. Fortunately for him, trying to contest that angle did not work out in his favor. FK1 getting a nice kill there, and he might also be able to track some footprints from that hatch thanks to his little bit of range buff.
Yeah, 8 meters, pretty long distance for that tracking. PZD going to be saw on his rotation into construction. FK will also get Julio, so the construction bandit quickly eliminated. Alibi now the final roamer on cash side. Kamikaze will get Yuna, so at least something in Nip's favor, but as he attempts to run out, he will be stopped and shut down. From server stack, a spawn peek, but no kills as a result. GCR gets aggressive and eliminates PZD. Wag with a run out onto spawns, leaving just Wag, though, as the final defender, and GCR will shut him down. Pain with another round and match point.
Definitely starting to go in their favor big time, I would say here, in terms of, well, not only being match point, but the fact that they've been doing very well on these attacks. It seems to be, we're seeing a lot of jump outs, a lot of run outs, a lot of trying attempts at ambushes coming out of Ninja Pyjamas, and despite their name being Ninjas in Pyjamas, we're just not seeing those ninja plays that they're trying to make actually pay off for them. It's mostly just leading to their deaths. Maybe just due to good coverage from Pain of their teammates. We're seeing they're clumped up a bit, but I think it's working because they're either getting trades or stopping those jump outs before those can turn into a kill for Ninja Pyjamas. Not that they haven't gotten any, but I think overall just the cohesion among Pain on these attacks seems to be a bit stronger than Nip seem to be prepared to fight. That blitz could be coming out here from Yuna, or is he just taunting it? You never know now with 6-pick. Though Psycho actually going to change it up a little bit from one roamer to another.
Yeah, Ella's still a very viable operator. You just got to gauge your fights, get nice and close before you choose to get stuck in. Now, the defense will be going downstairs yet again. This is the only site that Nip has been successful on so far, and if that history holds, then we will see this go 2-4-5. They were very dominant when they held the basement.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like Pain had anything going for them. They got caught up trying to clear a cash room roam.
Yeah.
They couldn't get past it, and then when they went to push into the site, they didn't even have the diffuser, so it was all over at that point. I think a perfect round for Nip.
Yeah, it was pretty sloppy on that attack, but they have the shield this time and the Jackal, so maybe that will work in roam clearing very fast, and they'll be able to actually push onto the site a bit more focused, because like you said, roam clear was the big problem last time, dealing with that. Maybe the shield change is what they needed to be able to make that work.
It's entirely possible. And I think we're going to see a huge shift in how Pain choose to address this site. I doubt that they're going to... Oh, what a shot from GCR onto PZD. That's an early kill onto the Alibi.
An important one based off what we've seen so far.
Yeah, some significant control just established, and one of the roamers already dispatched. And he's going for another one. GCR going to have the drone to call out the information on that Ella inside of construction. That Psycho yet to get a kill in this match, so potentially a free one himself if he continues to hold the position. Yuna will get disoriented and hit by the traps, but the impact follow-up not going to be able to do enough damage. Yuna gets the hip fire and secured kill onto Kamikaze, forcing the construction player of Psycho to fall back into Master. And he's going to continue to fall off as the window and pressure continues to mount.
That was that scenario on Kamikaze. That's the kind of nightmare you wake up from, cold sweats, just that pushing on you like that. But the pressure coming out there onto the Ella Psycho, managing to rotate down to bar at least.
All of these roamers are being absolutely shred to bits. Ninjas in Pyjamas only have 2 players left and 2 lives that will try to stop this elimination. But Blitz is already in sight. They've come back to home, and home is full of intruders. Yuna will shut down Psycho, leaving Wag yet again as the final defender. And Revolts is saying, no sir, you will not get a single kill in this round. Pain Gaming take it in swift fashion.
All of those attempts, except for with the exception of the first round, all of those attempts at roaming just seemed to turn into free kills for Pain. It was like they were feeding them constantly. I mean, the Blitz helped. It was an adjustment that they needed on that top floor, because you saw how aggressively they were pushing that Legion and how aggressively the Legion was fighting back. He was throwing impact nade after impact nade, firing, doing everything he could to slow down that Blitz, but everything he could does no good if he's dead in the end.
Absolutely right, Devin. 6-3 victory for Pain Gaming, and they will launch up those positions.
Yep.
And they've... Ninjas in Pyjamas, just a little bit lackluster in that match. Their roam, especially they invested heavily in it, because last time Nip went on to the basement defense, they were successful in the roam, but this time they couldn't make it work for them.
Well, either way, definitely some lessons to be learned for them.